What's up, Baba AliBaba Group? I got a request to to look at Baba like 3 days ago. I'm a little late. Oh boy, this thing released hard to the downside. Okay, so this is Chinese manufacturing central, and it's been on a pretty boring and pretty decent run for a few years here, but it flipped over fine. Doesn't look awful to begin with, but now it now it looks really bad. Now it looks really terrible. So I'm trying to find the bear channels on this whole situation, and you can see the general idea here. So I guess if you get into the whole Chinese contagion argument, all of that, we've had supply chain issues for a minute. You can see all of that right here, like this whole thing fully. It's not just like the supply chain issues that are happening now. Like we've had a huge rotation away from Chinese manufacturing companies towards other areas, like hypothetically Africa, like eventually, but like a bunch of Chinese manufacturing has shifted to, Vietnam, to Indonesia. Like Pakistan has a bit, like for clothing and such. But anyway, there's a bit of a shift in the whole supply chain, the whole manufacturing chain that has started much before COVID. Where's the peak on this thing? In 20, yeah. This thing already started looking bad, and the COVID crash is this just here, right? No big deal, but now we're dropping. Okay, so this is probably a pretty good look at the world kind of supply chain on a grander scale. This is probably a good stock to look at, but this is not a stock I'm interested in trading like itself, but I think this is more of an indicator of China as a manufacturing center and like how well it's doing right now. Obviously, there's a bunch of big risks. We've got the whole, Evergrande Grande situation. And the credit markets, aren't a Chinese problem. That's a world problem that is centered with the U.S. banking system. And, well, I mean, really, like Chinese manufacturing has been declining since the financial crisis. Like the manufacturing revenue and Chinese centered manufacturing, and also like China buying up US treasuries, like that all stopped 10 years ago and has been reversing. But just looking at the stock of Baba kind of tells you what's up right now. And also, like, I don't want to get way bearish on Baba because they're still like the top. This is still the top, sort of not wholesale. It's not wholesale. I don't know if you've ever like gone around and hunted around on AliBaba and like looked for manufacturers of different things, but it's absolutely incredible what they manufacture and how many different people are offering manufacturing services for for like go look around if you want to try to import anything, or like drop shipping stuff, but like if you actually want to do a drop shipping thing and not like a second party version of drop shipping, this is a very cool company, and it's the center of like the Chinese manufacturing and sort of just distribution. The distribution of Chinese manufacturing is what's going on here. But in any case, like this is obviously not in a good spot right now, and I once again, well, you can see my lines here, and I drew these lines before this down move even happened. I'm a little late. This is a requested video, and sorry, I was gonna say like this is picking up a downtrend and it's probably gonna start bear flagging here, and that's exactly what I would expect. I think this is a pretty solid spot. I think we might start bear flagging, but if we're gonna go, man, like this whole like chart is this whole chart is leading into sort of a worldwide recession or depressionary scenario here, because this is like the center of stuff, like the goods for Europe and the Americas. And I mean, I was in South Africa, whatever, last year or a year and a half ago. Like all the manufactured goods there are Chinese. Like China makes everything. China makes everything, and Alibaba is like the hub for distribution for all of this stuff. This company is monster, and it's gonna have a immediate and big response to any kind of recessionary like situation. Like I don't know. Let's do treasuries, I guess, and look at the sort of the dollar flows, because it's very important for China. The dollar flows are way important. So if you're trying to look at loans, like China gets dollar denominated loans for most all of these manufacturing companies, but they don't get them from America. Like most of the loans that Chinese companies get are dollar loans, but they're from European banks. So this is the euro dollar system, shadow banking, whatever you want to call it. But it's definitely dollar denominated, and the treasuries are very important. So China is very much involved in the treasury bond trading. And so, go look at the last 4 or 5 videos, but we are getting an unexpected up move in treasuries. Like they're near zero. We have this worldwide inflation scare, and now all of a sudden treasuries are going to the upside. So hey, blah, surprise, the entire inflation scenario, or like transitory, all of this stuff, like, yeah, hey, look, the treasuries, it's not a debate, right? Look at the chart. The treasuries are breaking out to the upside. This is a, well, not outright deflationary, but this is a disinflationary up move in treasuries, which means prices are coming down, but it also means the amount of dollars is contracting, right? Less dollars means less stuff. Prices should go down on random stuff. The big inflation scare should chill out a little bit, right? But also this is a massive threat to, well, stocks-ish. Like it should be a threat to stocks, but you got to figure out like what's happening here, because we're getting a rotation into, let's just look at some things, try to get the picture, because we're getting I've heard everyone say that, the FANG stocks look awful and terrifying. Yeah, okay, they're pulling down a little bit, right? But we're getting a huge rotation into, the FANG stocks. So that's a safety move. Like people are moving out of risky stocks into FANG stocks. That's one thing to look at. I just showed the treasuries. Like a treasury breakout to the upside is way surprising to almost everyone. This is deflationary, and this directly corresponds to the interest rates. If we blast up here, this is pushing interest rates back to zero. That is unexpected and pretty wild thing to look at. I've been talking about the dollar breakout since back here. Like I called the dollar going way strong here at the first bear trap bounce, and then this move actually kind of surprised me that we pulled down that far, but this is even a bigger bounce. But we are in a very powerful dollar up move right now. So that's just the dollar versus other fiat, which is whatever. It's not surprising. The dollar's been going strong for 13 years. That's not too crazy. But if you look at the Treasury breakout and you look at margin loan is a big deal. And this is not a chart of margin loan. This is the IWM Russell 2000. But I like to look at the Russell to kind of gauge margin loan because, like, when you're getting a lot of margin loan into the market, a bunch of it will go into these smaller companies that may or may not be viable or make any sense at all. But you can pretty well see, if you look at a chart of margin loan, like you can't really see you can't see everything because there's bank swaps going on. You got venture capital money coming in on loan, and that doesn't show up in the margin like loan charts, but you'll see it in the IWM because these are the little guys. You get all the nonsense here. But so, I mean, we obviously had a monster blast of margin loans off of the COVID bottom, which is, down here. And then we're chilling. And then this is a massive head fake. Like a fake run up and huge back test and breaking a channel on the IWM. It's like, oh, whoa, like margin loans have peaked and they're dropping. This is not a joke. Like, this is a huge indicator that we're switching signals, but we're getting a switch of signals in a bunch of charts. And it may not be that long term. Like I was just saying, like, treasury loans, or not treasury loans, but treasury bonds breaking to the upside. Like, I mean, it could go up and push interest rates down. That could take 2 months or something, but then we're like back into the whole situation we were talking about for the last year and a half again. Like, we go back to zero interest rates, then we can start talking about inflation again later. But this is just like, actually, the time space on this is kind of hard to judge because we could get, I mean, let me look at the S&P. Let me just show you. On the S&P, like, I'm just looking at like 2 weeks. Like 2 weeks of down move here. 2 weeks before I get uncomfortable being short or something like that. So the whole thing on the S&P here, like, we got this big notched rollover, which is way sketchy. Painted a downtrend. Okay, like, that's not a big deal. Once we broke out at the top here, if you've been following, breaking out of the top is like, oh, okay, like, are we actually breaking out or is this a false throw? But like, if we did actually break out and pick it up, like, the parabolic nonsense that follows would have been crazy. And at the same time, right, we had IWMs pulling up looking like they want to break out. No deal. Complete head fake, right? The S&P did a throw over to the downside. The IWMs completely backchecked and fell. Not just fell, but like crashed through the whole channel. Okay, this crashed through the channel. Look at the S&P. The S&P crashed through the channel, and the down angle of this like bear shelf is super angry. So this is nasty. But I don't know how long, like, this could just be like a little 2 week little pullback or something. But I hear everyone like buy the dip or something, like, because we've had whatever, like 10 little pullbacks, 10 little chick pullbacks in the last year. So this is just a little pullback, right? No. This is not a little pullback. This thing here, this is a notched bounce on a downtrend line. This is not a joke. This is a monster. And this overthrow on the channel is no joke. Like, we are coming down right now. We're coming down, and we'll see. I mean, we're throwing a green candle, right? No worries. There's like aftermarket trading to the upside, fine. Okay, but what's happening now is we're gonna do a stab. We're gonna do a stab down on this trend line, and then we'll continue. That's it. Like, it could just be like 2 weeks. A treasury kind of breakout. I don't know that a treasury breakout is 2 weeks. So like when I look at treasuries and the DXY, I roughly say like the DXY sort of inverses the stock market, and the treasuries have been sort of inverse to Bitcoin. So like what I've been saying the past 2 weeks is like Bitcoin looks like it's in big trouble, right? And the stock market looks like it's going to get weak, but that's happening at the same time. So I see a ton of downside for a week or two, and then we'll take a look. What are we talking about? Baba Chinese manufacturing, yeah. So I guess if you're going to talk about China, it's just so drama. Like there's so much nonsense, in the South China Sea, like naval, whatever, like naval supply chain warship stuff. There's been a bunch of stuff going on for like 2 years. Like China's like, threatening Hong Kong for sure, obviously, but like Taiwan as well. Um, China wants to take Taiwan, and so there's like threat of not like major war, but like smaller wars. Like the Indian border with China is actively war right now. It has been for a while. Um, this all affects the stocks, but like as far as China as like a major enemy to America or the banking system is complete BS. China is one of the official reserve currencies of the world. Like they're totally part of the banking system. Whatever. Like take any part of that with a grain of salt. Um, until I guess until you see like like the SDR or something. Like if you see the central banking system like dropping China out of the SDR as a reserve currency or something, like okay, like it's on or something at that point. But like right now, China is a fully whatever you want to say, like friendly currency that's like part of they're one of the official world reserve currency nations, blah. So most of the stuff that you're going to hear is nonsense and doesn't like actually relate to the banking system or the stock market, any of it. But if you're just going to look at something like Baba, like the Chinese manufacturing does have a lot of downside risk, and it doesn't look particularly dramatic. I mean, we're having a rotation out of Chinese manufacturing, and we're having supply chain issues, and now we're having sort of currency issues, and now a couple of my chart lines are crooked. Like, okay, none of these are that big of a deal, but this down move is a big deal. All right, so let's get back to this Baba chart, and I I guess this might do like a real ABC wave down. It's such like a gentle chart. It just doesn't look that bubbly or aggressive. I really don't see this doing that angry of a move. But let me just paint like an ABC on the Baba chart, which would be probably this line. That's so 40. That's really strong. Like just a generic down move would like hug this line for a minute until it breaks out. I don't have that bearish of an outlook on this, but if it gets kind of nasty, like this 40 area is really good support, and that's like an A wave. Like you pick up a downtrend, bear shelf, boom to the downside, A wave down. You get a B wave, which will overthrows the downtrend, get the false breakout, right? Maybe a second one. We've been getting a lot of actually second pokes recently, and then you just follow the initial trend. So it's just sort of like a false crash, false break, but you're just following the downtrend. But it looks like a downtrend, which could last. Who knows? Who knows? yeah, if this just picks up a downtrend, like this is a downtrend that could last like 5 years, 10 years, I don't know. This chart looks really bad. It doesn't look like crazy dangerous. It doesn't look important. But this is a decent look at international kind of manufacturing and supply chains because this is kind of the center of it. Anyway, that's Baba. Like, I was gonna do this video as like a less than 1 minute short video, but I just rambled. I rambled on, and I don't apologize about it.